Um, Booster 7 on the SpaceX orbital launch platform. South Texas in the village of Boca Chica. My name is Paul Marcos with Ocean Camera Space Corp. Let me know if the audio is good. Otherwise, I can change out the mic or something. Thank you. Just tuning in here. It is a Wednesday morning. Probably around 10-ish, around 10 or so in the morning. There is a bit of wind, about 16 or so miles an hour. Last I checked earlier this morning, it may have picked up a little bit. And we got another live stream going concurrently from the remote camera site. Over the last week, we saw them on Sunday, I believe it was, they took down the, yeah, it was Sunday. They took the Starship 24 down off of the booster. And I also did a tour with a gentleman who flew in from the UK, so it was good to do that. And they were doing a bunch of grinding. I've heard some grinding sounds on the orbital launch platform, and we can see a variety of lifts over there, aerial lifts on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count 5 aerial lifts right now. I'll zoom in, get a few more shots. It's gonna be a maybe a 30-minute live stream or so, something like that, at least. I haven't eaten food. I've eaten a little bit of breakfast, but I want to eat some more. Want to eat some more breakfast. Yeah. That. 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 5 of those lifts. We got the blue one on the right, and then 4 of those orange ones. I will get some of this shot in higher quality imagery and upload that later on. And I did take some more video of the Boca Chica village, and I'll upload that as well after this sometime today. They've continued to build out the roads up there near the beach in Boca Chica village. So there's pretty much 4 roads that make up Boca Chica now. You got the 2 that exist. Weems, I believe, is one of them, and then the 2 new ones. They haven't been named yet, but they do interact. They intersect with the LBJ Boulevard. I have the day off. I did yesterday as well. I might be going back to work tomorrow. So today's kind of my weekend. I had a what was it? This today and yesterday are basically my weekend, and I'm going probably back to work tomorrow, somewhere northwest of here, or maybe in like Dallas, maybe to Dallas-Fort Worth, or somewhere possibly to Portland, Oregon, or just somewhere here elsewhere in Texas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the wind were to pick up another 10 knots or maybe 8 knots, if it got a little bit stronger here, 8 miles an hour or so, they would have to cancel all the work that they're doing. They would have to stop. Sorry for the jerking there. They would have to stop working for a little while until the wind calmed down. So I think around 25 is the max, and we're pretty high up there in the wind. So. Yesterday when I was driving back here from Brownsville, the road on the way here from Boca Chica, from Brownsville, the road was almost completely washed over with water from the surrounding land, So we had a lot of rain out here, I guess, and the water catchment that I have was able to catch quite a bit of rain, but the water levels here have risen quite a bit. So thanks, Tony. Yeah, okay, 18 miles an hour. So yeah, if it were to raise another 7 miles an hour, they would have to stop working here. Thanks. So it's sunny with temperature 66 Fahrenheit, 19 Celsius. The wind is from the north. We normally get the wind from the southeast or the south, so the wind's from the opposite direction at 18 miles an hour and 29 kilometers, and the current humidity is 65%. So we had a lot of rain. Maybe a lot of that rain fell off into the, so why it's not so humid. It's also cooler, so the air can't hold as much moisture. As far as the remote cameras going, I need to figure out a way so that right now I have the computer on a timer so that when the sun rises, the power turns on, and when the sun is about to set, the power turns off. I have it set on a timer so the battery doesn't get drained into the night when I'm not here, So if I could find out a way so that the computer maybe all I have to do is disable the password request, and then possibly that might be all I need to do. Just so that the computer will turn on without me being here. And one other feature would be to have the camera turn on when I'm not here on a timer as well. So those two features would get it further along as far as being able to do a remote camera type thing when I'm not here. So another option would be to have another battery and more solar panels, but the only drawback from another battery and more solar panels is if there is ever a loss of power, it would still be the same situation, needing to get out here to turn it on, so. I guess some other options are just another camera with maybe some type of subscription, so that instead of feeding it through my computer, I could feed it just directly through another server. Because the Starlink works. It works on the timer, and it turns itself on and off based on the timer. So that's working great, perfectly. So if I were able to get maybe another camera that once it has that. Once it gets powered, it automatically searches for the internet, and then once it has it, it just uploads. It starts to upload the video imagery. So that's another possibility. If you know of a camera that can do that has some type of subscription service where it doesn't need to feed through a computer and it can just work off of wireless once it has power, that's an option. Let me zoom in here, I'll get a little closer shot. As far as the economy is concerned, we're past the full moon, so we're halfway. We're just past the halfway point from the full moon toward the new moon. So we're going toward the new moon in about 6 days. And again, my belief has been, I've seen in the last few months, handful of months, that during the just past the full moon is when we start getting all the bad news, and they release all the bad news. So, and then that is that's when the stock market has been going down. That's when we've been seeing the 10-year yield spiking, and we've seen a lot of bad news released during this full moon to the new moon time frame. And again, it doesn't, I mean, this time it started right at the full moon. In some of the previous months, it started about 4% just past the full moon. So, you know, so the next 6 to 7, maybe 8 days, 4% past the new moon time frame is maybe going to be the peak. If it follows some of the previous months' peak of the bad news, we still got about another 6 days, maybe 7, possibly 8. But up to the 4 to 7% past the new moon is going to be the peak of the bad news. And then we'll get all the good news. So they're saving all the good news. The news people maybe don't want to look foolish coming out with a little good news when there's a lot of bad news being released. So I believe it's maybe even a coordinated event, so that all the different news people put out the bad news at a certain time frame during the time frame from the full moon to the new moon, and then they put out all the good news from the just past the new moon to the full moon, so that they can invest in the stock market and make money. So if a lot of the new people get scared during the bad news times, then they'll sell. And the same thing, if a lot of the new people to the stock market get greedy and feel comfortable from the new moon to the full moon, then they'll invest. So if you can set up that type of cyclical event from the full moon to the new moon, and from the new moon to the full moon, then as a market maker, as a more experienced investor, you can time your bets, and you can make money. So if you're a market maker, or if you're a more sizable investor, or just if you're a personal investor and you've gotten burned quite a bit, and you're not so much swayed by the news or by the feeling that you get, and you're more into the mental, looking at what's actually happening, then you might start to see that cycle, and you can use it to your advantage. You don't want to go long during a full moon to a new moon, and you don't want to go short during a new moon to the full moon. So those are just some basic stuff. You want to look at the other stuff in the market as well. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a humble YouTuber. But yeah, that's what I've been seeing. I'm having to hold the camera down so it doesn't move in the wind here. Let me zoom out here, just so it don't shake so much. Yeah, when people say "are," I'm gonna read that comment out loud, but you know, you gotta remember, you gotta look at this. You know, if you're in a group of people and say there's two soccer teams, and they're both from the same country. Say we got two soccer teams from Lithuania or something. Maybe we got two Brazil soccer teams, and they're playing each other. And so our country, our government doesn't apply when we got the one soccer team fighting the other soccer team. They're fighting each other. They're trying to beat each other. They're trying to win against each other. So in that same, you know, so in this example, we got two soccer teams from the same country playing against each other, trying to beat each other. So our government, our soccer team is it's different from the other soccer team over there, which also uses the word "our." So our government is the same type of thing. There's a lot of different corporations which make up the government, and they're just like these different soccer teams. So you're not on the team. You're not on the team. I mean, if you're getting beaten, and your government is beating you, that's you're misplacing the word "our" because you're not in the team. You're not on the team that's beating you. So using the word "our" is just I would caution you when you use the word "our." Okay, so Tony, I didn't know it was you, Tony. Our own government crashed the UK market. The pound and sterling fell to a record low against the dollar, and they're still working on the pad. Yes. Okay. Yeah, Tony. And again, also, as far as the government and everything else, there are, look at, there's Satanists, S-A-T-A, Satanists. And so there's, if for example, if we were to have a hospital and there were Satanists who were running the hospital, then, and you experienced bad treatment, that's par for the course. I mean, if you went to a Satanist who was a doctor, you got to expect that they want to hurt you. So, in the same way, if there's Satanists running your government, you got to expect that they want to hurt you, So, you can use the word "our," but if they're Satanists, then they're not looking after your own good, In the same way, if we had a bunch of vampires running the country, your country, maybe the United States, whatever, it would be the same situation. If a bunch of Satanists and vampires are running your country, you can't complain when they're trying to kill you. Some people think the Queen of England was a vampire. You can look at David Icke for more of that information. So there's not much else we can see here. We got the we got the booster 7, we got booster 24, and again that spells 724 or 24/7. 24/7 was the title I put on that video a little while back when they had it stacked. I still have a planned meeting with some attorneys on the 27th of this month, so that's coming closer. There have been a couple of different opportunities to not go to that meeting, and I've had the opportunity to do other things which overlapped on the time frame for those meetings, but I've been making the space to keep those time frames open for me to attend those meetings. Yesterday, the logo for Ocean Camera Space Corp got finalized by the Patent and Trademark Office, uspto.gov. So if you remember, that's in the community chat. You can see a picture of that. So it takes a while if you put in a trademark application, just like the NASA logo, it's trademarked. The different logos that companies have, and takes over a year for that to finish getting processed. So even though I was offered and given like 18 other logos, which may be more, which are different logos and nice, just as nice or even maybe even nicer. But I like the logo that is there, but it does take over a year and $275 for each logo to get trademarked, you know, so it takes a while, and that's why I didn't just go forward with some of the other logos that I have been given. Okay, yeah, Tony says the reason I use the word "our" is because we voted them in. Yeah, and there was some discrepancy over some of the tabulation system here in the United States. I don't know how it is in the UK, but as far as the counting of the votes, some discrepancy over that, because there is a video called 1,000 Mules, 1,000 Mules, that came out in the last several months, and it showed some cheating on the voting system, and they did, you know, so even as far as voting, I don't know if voting has been an actual thing for a long time. Gregory Mannarino has said that if you could, you know, there's no chance in hell that they would let your vote count. If your vote counted, then at least here in the United States, it's kind of an insider thing, and I think the tabulation of the votes was out of China. So the U.S. Dominion voting system, all the machines were controlled by countries outside. They were tabulated by China and some of the other areas. So, and I think they were run by maybe a Democrat or something like that. So it's very sketchy here in the United States whether the votes that we saw in the 2020 election were actually the truth. I mean, there were a lot of mail-in votes, and there were a lot of votes that came in after midnight. So a lot of these machines, they halted the voting tabulation sometime after midnight or maybe 11 p.m. I'm not in the know. But and then at a certain time of night, they started recording, like 2 or 3 in the morning. They started recording like hundreds of thousands of votes all over the country in favor of Biden. So, and this same voting system has been used for a long time. I believe the Dominion voting system has been used for a long time, and not just in the United States. So I don't know if our vote actually counted in this past election. It did show that Biden got more votes than any other Democrat president in history, even more so than Trump. And we had more votes counted than there were actual voters. So, yeah, the whole voting system is kind of shady, I would say. So I don't know if even our vote voted them in. I mean, maybe their money voted them in, you know. Hey, Sir Chris. Yeah, the logo is trademarked, but it's from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, uspto.gov. But it's a trademark on the logo. Hey, John, morning. Yeah, thanks thanks for Chris. Yeah. Thanks for your help too, for telling me when it's the stream is offline, etc. You know, you and Tony and several other people here. Thank you so much. Keeping it going. I'll do about another 5 minutes here and then wind it down. Maybe I'll probably have some breakfast, maybe do another stream from the main gate or from over by the Lab Padre truck. Okay, yeah, and as far as the So there is Gregory Mannarino has been saying that the central bankers want to crash the. If you look at BenjaminFulford.net, he says that there's over many years he's been recording the different actions by the different powerful families throughout the globe. Okay, they just did a test audio thing. If the winds pick up a little bit more, they're gonna have to stop their work over there. But Benjamin Fulford, look up his website, BenjaminFulford.net, and he's been him and Gregory Mannarino and some other people have been chronicling the different battles that are going on here on the earth between the different powerful families and organizations which make up the different governments. And Gregory has been saying that the central bankers are the government, and even Karen Hudis, who used to work at the World Bank, used to say that I haven't seen any videos from her in a long time, but she used to say that the black royalty were in charge of the world. So the descendants of the Egyptian pharaohs. So if you look at the different stories that are coming out, whether it's Egyptian pharaohs, whether it's just the central bankers who are running the different governments, or whether it's just some of the stronger families on the planet, or maybe it's some type of off-planet group of people or group of beings that are running the show here on the earth. There are different people vying for power. There's different battles going on. And although we may not see a war going on, it's been said that even though we've been sending billions of dollars to Ukraine to prop up that war, and there's just a lot of different things that you can look at to get a better idea of what's actually going on. But the central bankers. The Fed is one of the central banks. There's different central banks around the world, and they're moving to a digital system. And different governments different groups of powerful people want it. The reserve currency has been the United States dollar since I believe the 70s. So we've been having a sweet deal here in the United States. And now some of these other governments, some of these other families, some of these other powerful people, groups, are trying to get that reserve status, or they want their control over that new system. So we're seeing a bunch of battles going on here with currencies and economies. And they also, on top of that, they also want to get longevity for themselves and their friends. So they need organs, they need more technology, so they need to harvest organs. They need to wipe people out that are against them. So there's a purpose for these different battles that are going on, and and then a lot of people are fearful for one reason or another. So out of that fear, they want to destroy other people. So on top of this, I would put my meditation slant. I would put my spin on this story, my meditation spin, and say, if the different powerful people were to do some meditation with some binaural beats for a week, either with a retreat with myself or with some other people, the Monroe Institute, they could gain access to the more subtle realms and actually experience that expansion, that spirit, the actual spirituality. They would experience the reality of spirit, the more subtle levels, the more powerful levels. And as different people, personalities, get more experience with the subtle levels, they not only empower themselves with more ability to have force, not only do they become stronger physically, but they also open up to the reality of the existence of the connection and the closeness to all the other people on Earth and throughout the universe. Because as you become more knowledgeable and experienced with consciousness, the feeling, the sense, the knowing, and the experience of the connectivity with all the other beings in the universe happens. So if it, for instance, if one of these vampiric Satanist central bankers were to do some meditating with binaural beats and open up and have this connectivity experience, oneness with the universe, then they would change their lifestyle. They would automatically change, but the rest of the people that they work with would not change. So it takes a one-by-one person experience of this type of reality, knowledge of the real existence, which comes through some type of meditative experience or some type of accident, near-death experience, for them to become more wholesome, more connected, more powerful, and a better person. All right, I'm going to wind this down. So Tony says, is the value of the US dollar governed by the price of oil? I would say no. I would say the value of the US dollar is governed by the military strength of the United States of America. It's governed by weapons. It's not governed by oil. But the stock market is referenced off of the price of oil. But I would say the dollar is more so priced off of the weapons that the United States has and the militaristic capability of the United States rather than any other oil price. And then the oil is propped up by different disasters. So it's said that the evergreen, in the canal, blocking the canal for several days, was intentional to raise the price of oil. So there are different events happen. If oil is about to crash, then they do certain things to prop it up. They create an explosion here or there, or they do something so that the price of oil stays up. All right, but for sure it's connected. I would say connected. Yep. And there's a book called Power versus Force by Hawkins. I forgot the guy's first name, but look it up. It's a book called Power versus Force. And a lot of people who have never experienced power are really searching for force. They're really, but power is something that comes through proper living. Power comes through connectivity and knowledge of alignment with the universe. Because at the utmost extreme, there is no power over anyone else. Everybody has equal power, access to power. Because there's only one awareness, one being throughout the universe, and no other being is more powerful than you. But force is what's different. The amount of force that different personalities have access to. If I were to take a broken egg, if we have an egg and there's a light inside the egg, if the egg is uncracked, if the egg is whole without any cracks, there's no light that escapes the egg. Maybe a little bit of light comes through the egg, but once we crack the egg, then you start to see a lot of streaks of light coming through. And so the realm of force is trying to gain control over the different streams of light coming through the cracks of the egg. And so if we were to remove the entire egg shell from the egg yolk and what's inside the egg, that light would be everywhere. So force is more so trying to gain control over and to understand the different cracks in the egg, and the light that's coming through and the different shapes of the cracks would be the different types of force. But power is the light which was in the egg, and once you remove the shell, there's no more, you don't see any more forces, because the power is everywhere, because the light goes everywhere once there's no shell. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Hey Johnny, 3 on 3. Yeah, there's Sir Chris, maybe check out that book, Power versus Force. Good book. All right, I'm going to leave it here. Good to be here with you, and see what the rest of today brings. I wish you a safe day. I always like to risk my life at least once every day. So, but there's no need to increase the risk. Thanks, guys, gals. See you later. See you on the next one.